I know what you No, we did. What's going on, people? We back for a real quick. We ain't gonna be too long. Quick shout out. But we are back for another episode of Brothers Vent 2. It is your boy, me, Brandon Ward, Dr. Swift, live in a new establishment, coming from Houston, Texas, by way of Arkansas. And I'm drinking no water tonight. I ain't doing no. I ain't drinking no nothing.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rob coming to you by way of Bolton, but I'm in Tampa, in a new place since the last show. I'm not drinking on anything. We just came from eating dinner, so let's get right to it.
Absolutely, and I just got done shouting out and watching Doctor Strange too. It was actually pretty good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna hold off on it because I know some people hadn't seen it yet, so I'm gonna wait.
2 days. Got 2 days.
Got a couple of days, but we couldn't let this day go by. We couldn't without celebrating and giving thanks to all the mothers, especially the Black mothers out there today. Right? We absolutely cannot go without saying thank you for everything you've done. I'm gonna give my story. I know Rob will give his story about his mother's impact, his grandmother's impact, just all the Southern mothers' impact on them and how they got to where they are today. We couldn't let this go by without saying thank you. So, Rob, I'm gonna start with you. Like, what would you like to say to about what your mother, what she's done for you to get you where you are today, and the things you've seen from the Black moms, the moms in general, and helping their loved ones get to where they are, and I mean just their loved ones, just Black mothers in general, helping the community get to where it is today.
Yeah, so I had some special women in my life. Both are not with me right now. My grandmother, my dad's mom, and my mom, who passed away about 2 years ago. So my grandma taught me how to cut wood. She taught me how to mow the grass. She taught me how to cut back logs. I saw my grandma and my mom pull hot cookie sheets out of the oven with their bare hands. I'd never seen anybody do that before. And so my grandma had a great impact on me. I was always around her. I was always under. I was always trying to soak up the stuff she was telling me. I always wanted to make her proud. Always showed her my report card second. If I got in trouble at home with my mom, I'd have to go up the hill, and grandma was next. And so my grandmother and my mom had a great impact on me. So for my mom, so when I was growing up, my mom used to put us in oratorical contests from the age of 6 years old. I was in oratorical contests where I would have to speak in front of the church for a time, and I would have to memorize a speech. It's like 3 to 4 pages. My mom would write the speech. She would time me. She would drill me, and I would have to memorize it. And so because of that, being able to speak in front of people at such a young age, it's paid dividends in the military because I have to brief often, and people are always amazed at how I can brief 3 and 4 star generals without paper, to memory, with confidence. And it's all because of the stuff that my mom did for me. And at the time, I hated it because all I wanted to do was play because it was during the summer. So my mom was a teacher, so she didn't work during the summer. So during the summer, she poured into us. She spent time with us. She took us around where she was. We would have to do homework during the summer. We would have to do book reports during the summer. We would have to read the encyclopedia during the summer. And it's paid dividends for me now. When I had cancer in high school, my mom took off work for 6 months, took care of me when I had cancer. When the doctor thought I wasn't going to make it, my mom was there with me every day, taking my treatments and everything like that. And so those memories keep my mom alive, even though she's not with me in body. I've always said my mom has always been my hero because the strength that she showed throughout a lot of things that she had to deal with in her life, as well as having to deal with us, even though we weren't bad kids, we were kids. But my mom, she stopped going to college to raise us, and then she graduated the same year from college that I did. And so we graduated at the same time with our bachelor's degree. And so I know how much she focused on us and took time out for us, put a lot of things in her life on hold, but she always said she never wanted to be anywhere but around us, and she was around us constantly. which is how I try to be with my kids. I love being with my kids. I love being around my kids. I love doing the kids stuff. I love all the things about kids because that's what my mom did for us. So for all the moms out there who really enjoy being around their kids, even though you have the kids are going to be kids, the kids understand it. They love it. I know it may be tiring, but I'm going to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom, rest in peace, and my grandma, because they were very strong women. They had a career, but at the same time, they actually raised us, put hands on us, and ensured that we were on the right track. And so I have done some things in my life that my mom would not be happy about.
I think we all have.
I was able to self-correct myself because I never wanted my mom to be upset with the things that I've done. And so I would always self-correct myself before I got back to her. So by the time I got back to her, I'd already fixed it. And so my mom and my grandma had a major impact on my life. So happy Mother's Day to them. Rest in peace. I know they're still guiding my steps and watching where I go and what I do. So happy Mother's Day to them. And then to my wife, who has given me two of the greatest gifts, which are Vanessa and Q. She steadies the ship. Everyone in the military, everyone knows because of the job that I do in the military, that she sometimes has to drive the ship by herself. She also has her own career. She does her thing. But she's a positive impact for them to see. So I know if anything were to ever happen to me, God forbid, that she is someone they can look to as an example of how they should be.
Right.
Perseverance, strong, weak when they need to be, because kids don't always need to see strong. Kids need to see the full human.
Right.
And so they see that in her as well. And she spends a lot of time with them. She talks to them. They do words of affirmation in the morning before they go to school. And as soon I'm about to have to roll out again, she's going to have to step into that role, not as mother and father, but as mother in my absence of father, to make sure they're good.
And it's crazy. I'm not going to get into it right now. I'm waiting till everybody get their story. But it's crazy seeing the social media posts about how mothers say they're the mother and the father in the family.
Yeah, Fee is very adamant about not saying she's mother and father, because in our household, we understand we each have a role in our kids' lives, and I can't do what she does. She can't do what I do, but that's why we're supposed to complement one another in the lives of our children as mother and father. Absolutely. And so we both understand that, and I think that the kids see the complement and the cooperation that we both work together for. And then to my ex, my oldest son's mom, Megan, she has Langston now in Mississippi, and so she's had to pull the full brunt of being that mother with me not even being in the state, and having to do what she needs to do for Langston as he's getting ready to enter into his senior year of high school. So happy Mother's Day to Langston's mom, Megan, and happy Mother's Day to Fee, because I know for a fact I could do it alone, but I choose not to, because their place or her place in their lives is very important. And I value it extremely well because, like I said, no one wants to be a single parent, but you have to do what you have to do. And so I could do it alone, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I value her presence in their lives and what she shows them every day and what she does for them. So happy Mother's Day to them as well.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure they appreciate it as well. Jay Ward, this is a happy Mother's Day shout out. What do you have to say to all the Black mothers and shouting out your mother and the impact that she's had in your life and the impact your mother's kids are having in your life, in their lives?
For me?
Yeah, you, boy. Yes.
I had some static, man. I'm in commute.
That's right. You are in the street.
Good to see y'all, man. You said what, Swift? I didn't hear you.
Just a shout out, Mother's Day shout out.
First of all, I just want to shout out that Rob's jersey is trash.
Hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Absolutely.
I don't have no beef with the Celtics. I just don't like Kevin Garnett. He played for them when he was ring chasing. So yeah, he was chasing after the ring. So he decided to go latch on to Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Rondo. First off, I want to give a shout out. Huh?
Go ahead.
Shout out to Swift with the mic, looking real Kevin Samuel-ish. I guess he said when one door closes, another one opens up.
You gotta start quiet, huh? Go ahead, ML.
Shout out to Swift Mama, who we all love and adore. Shout out to Crowley, because I know that's what he would have said to Uncle Swift. But yeah, first off, I want to give a shout out to my wife and baby mama. You know, that just makes sure that I look good as a dad. And being a dad is something that is difficult, but it's rewarding, but it's stressful, especially when you have a daughter, like a teenage daughter. Very ghetto, would not recommend it because it's expensive. And, you know, but mothers are, you know, that glue that kind of really holds that together. So my sisters and my sister-in-laws and my mom, who is in heaven, so I just want to wish her a happy heavenly Mother's Day, because, you know, she meant the world to me. But I'm just glad that she prepared me to be in life and be in the world without her, you know, and I know that's a lot of, that is that's something that a lot of men in Alpha Beta go through, is having moms that, you know, have already transitioned. And it's really rough, but, you know, just having that support system and being able to talk to each other about that is very impactful. So, and shout out to all our viewers that are mothers and everybody that, you know, is just really fighting that battle. And shout out to all the single moms. For most of my life, my mom was a single mom, and she really held it down, and I really didn't miss a beat. So shout out to all of the mothers out there.
That's all you got? So how did your mother impact you, and you said you didn't miss a beat? How did she influence you and get you to where you are today?
My mom was very direct with me, and I'm 3 times the size of my mom. My mom was like 5'2". Mm-hmm. And, you know, you can't whoop a kid that's twice your size. Like, that don't work. So she let me know early that she was crazy. And I didn't mess with her. Like, you know, I saw her destroy a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And after that, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna mess with that woman because she ain't all here. Right. So, you know, but then also just teaching me the value of stuff. And she taught me that when you are in a bad situation, because at one point we were homeless. Mm-hmm. And even in that situation, I still felt like we wasn't going without. Right. And so because of that, I just really felt like, you know, I know as long as me and her rocking together, then I'll never lose. Right. So just having her there for that, and she never badmouthed my dad or either of my siblings. She never badmouthed their dads either. It was just like, you know, it was what it was. She didn't say anything bad about them. She didn't, you know, try to make me think less of them because they weren't together. Right. So I really appreciated that. And it just showed me that, now one thing I will say, not necessarily as a kid, but as an adult, it showed me that my mother was not perfect. Even though when I was a kid, I thought she was perfect. But then when I got older and I first realized that she wasn't perfect, it kind of bothered me. But then I'm like, hell, ain't nobody perfect. Like, she's trying to figure this thing out just like I'm trying to figure this thing out. And that was a bonding moment for us, for me to figure out, like, man, this woman is not perfect, but she making do with what it was. And then I asked her one day, I said, Mom, what would you have been if you wasn't a mother? She told me a saxophone player. I'm like, what? But she never realized her dreams because she was so busy. Like a lot of mothers who say they love to cook don't really just, that's not their passion. but I gotta cook because I gotta feed y'all. You know, a lot of women are experts at cleaning the house, but that's not their passion. They would rather be doing something else, but they just have to do that. So I just really applaud women who put their ambitions and goals on the back burner so that they can do what's best for their children. And a lot of men don't make that sacrifice. And I mean, you know, I'm not downing men, but a lot of men just don't make that sacrifice. If it's something that they want to do, they just go ahead on and do it because they know that that woman is going to step up and do it. Right. So I just really appreciate the strength of mothers and just the love. And it wasn't no sugarcoat with her, and I appreciate that. But, you know, as an adult, and I would encourage anybody, if your mama's still here or your mother-in-law or any woman that's important to you, if she says that she wants to do something, go do it. Like right now, because you never know when it, you know, you don't want to sit and regret not taking your mama to the club because she wanted to go. If she want to do it, go do it, because you never know. And we see how precious life is. And I got a chance to go see Frankie Beverly with my mom, and it was just like one of the best memories I have. And I'm like, man, we really in here listening to Frankie Beverly, and I'm like, shit, let's just do it. Everything, I felt like the last 2 years of her life probably were the best 2 years. So, you know, if you have a chance to go and do stuff like that, even if it pushes you back financially a little bit, just take it, because you will appreciate those memories down the road.
Absolutely. We really appreciate that, brother.
Shout out to Rich John getting on the podcast.
Man, it's been a long time, and I figured I'd fit you out in my schedule. You know what I'm saying? Hey, usually on a Friday night, I'm on that G5 like Coach Prime. You know what I'm saying?
What you got for us, Prison? Shout out to you. What you got for us, Prison? Mom's Day shout out and how she influenced you to get you where you are today.
Hey, Mother's Day shout out. Let me think back. First of all, shout out to all the mamas out there. The mamas hold a special place. They hold a place that can't nobody else hold. They can accomplish things as a mama can't nobody else accomplish. You know what I'm saying? They can't be replaced. They're irreplaceable. You know what I'm saying? Let me talk about my mama. Oh, let me talk about my grandma, because I told my mom this story not too long ago. I remember the most random things about my grandmother. She's still alive. But I remember when I was a kid, she would buy me pineapples, canned pineapples, like cold canned Dole pineapples, because that was my favorite thing. You know what I'm saying? It would sometimes be the slices, sometimes it would be the crush. She'd give me a can of Dole pineapples and then empty out her change in her purse and give it to me. It's random, but it was just a small example of the way I felt loved by my grandmother, you know, growing up. You know what I'm saying? It's similar to with my mom. You know what I'm saying? She's always been a good one to hold it down, to, you know, more the quiet voice in the house, but still just exhibiting that love. You know what I'm saying? Constantly exhibiting that love. So that's where I think I feel most of is through my mom.
I guess I'll go ahead and give a Mother's Day shout out to all the mothers out there. My grandmother, hopefully she's still watching. My mother, like Jay Ward said, I was probably bigger than my mom, but my mom had hand, like my mom was like, she had hand, like, this woman was, she was in the Navy. I think they taught her some techniques. Like, I did some things when I was in middle school, high school. It could be small things, but she corrected them right away. But if it wasn't for my grandmother, my mother, I would not be here today. I would not. And I love them with all my heart. I wish I could be there with them this weekend, but I can't. But I really appreciate y'all if y'all watching. I got stories for days. I'm not gonna give them right now because we live and I don't know what my future holds. I don't want somebody to bring this back up and say this. But I really appreciate my mother. Shay, if you're watching, Gene, I know you probably watching. I love both of y'all, and I will be seeing y'all soon. But no one can replace the things that Black mothers do.
Hold on. Let me take it. I got to interrupt you because I got to give one more shout out, because I know these be getting recorded and then be posted to the archives. Everything on the internet lives forever. Hey, you know, I got to give a shout out. She ain't my mama, but she the baby mama. You know what I'm saying? You got to give a shout out to my wife, Katrina. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Hey, do it like it can't be done. You know what I'm saying? She holding me down.
Absolutely. Black mothers do hold it down.
Hey, I also want to give
Click
An
that one in
additional
your
shout out.
IG account.
Want to give an additional shout out to stepmoms. Like I've been blessed to have two really great stepmoms and a great mother-in-law, which is also a blessing, which I know a lot of people struggle with like their in-laws, but man, to have a great stepmom is a blessing, like for real. So just shout out to all the parents who step in, even though that's like not your biological child. Like that's very important. And the
So-
aunties out there, not the thought aunties on Duval page, but like not the drunk auntie, but the good aunties that's out there.
So with that being said, like I said, I want to go see my mom this weekend. I was gonna surprise, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. But my mom, grandma, both sides, both my grandmamas and both my granddads are actually alive right now. But I appreciate everything they've done for me to get me to where I am today. I really do, and I appreciate y'all. But we couldn't got the Mother's Day shout outs.
Yep.
And we could not let this live go. I mean, we did this initially just for the mother. Like, we could not let Mother's Day go by without saying something to the Black moms, to our moms, to all the moms out there, right? But we got some news, and it has absolutely shaken social media. So we're not gonna spend too much time on it, but we got to talk about it, right? And I know Jay Ward was gonna shoot me if I ain't bring it up. So Jay Ward, this your moment too, right?
My king. No, I'm joking.
So the controversial, polarizing figure, social media figure, Kevin Samuels, has passed. It's been confirmed he is gone, and social media is in a uproar. You have those on one side saying he died like he told everybody else they were gonna die, single, alone, and ain't shit. Sorry, mom, if you're watching. And then you got another side saying, "Why y'all so mad at this man? If he didn't apply what he was saying, then why you upset?" Like, people were calling in to hear his opinion, and he gave them what they wanted. So I got two questions for y'all, right? I got two things I need to address tonight, real quick, with this situation. Let me look at the comments. Love you too, Grandma. Yeah, Nick, we saw the police report. He died taking Viagra and a Red Bull. I think that's what was said. With a woman in the apartment.
What a hell of a way to go. My man.
No, right?
So, two quick questions. Number one, where do you fit on the Kevin Samuels scale, right? Was he doing a good thing for the Black community? Was he too polarizing? And he should have been shut down a long time ago, right? How do you feel about the things that he was saying to the people that called into the show? And number two, was what Kevin Samuels doing or saying representative of where we are right now with social media culture, right? He was just putting out content and people were buying into it. So is this a result of people pushing that era on us, like social media having an impact and influence, or was it just him not having a job and doing what he needed to do, right? Because social media does influence and impact our daily life, like whether people want to admit it or not, it does, right? So first question, where does Kevin Samuels fit? Second question, how influential is social media today, and is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Man,
Unmute yourself. Go ahead and go first.
I had to unmute myself. Because where does Kevin Samuels fit in Black culture? Repeat the question one more time.
So
I got it right.
Where do you like, as far as the scale, right? Kevin Samuels ain't shit.
Okay.
Kevin Samuels said what needed to be said, regardless of how he said it. Where do you see him on that spectrum?
Okay.
And number two, how influential is social media today, and is it a good thing or a bad?
All right. So this is what it is on this scale. This is the thing. I put him in his proper place on that scale. Who is Kevin Samuels to me? This man is an entertainer. Like you say, he is a content creator. He came out here to put entertaining videos, just like you watch cat videos, just like you watch the two Indian dudes in the middle of the forest digging a two-story pool. We watched Kevin Samuels as an entertainer. He was good at that because he was entertaining. Now, it's all wrapped up in jokes. You know what I'm saying? He a big joke. The whole show is a big joke, but there's some truth wrapped into that. There's some truth wrapped into that. I gotta repeat myself 3 times. There's some truth wrapped into that. Hey, but let me tell you. I put him in his place as an entertainer. I don't think that he speaks for black men. I don't think that he's a Martin Luther King. I don't think that he's a black leader. I don't look at him that way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not holding him to those standards to say that he has to speak a certain way, speak eloquently like Obama or something. He is not a president. You know what I'm saying? He is not a representative of black people at all. He is an entertainer. Now, what he said was true in the fact that you attract what you are. You attract what you are. You know what I'm saying? Birds of a feather flock together. If you a bird, you attract birds. You know what I'm saying? and overall, I think a lot of people didn't want to be called average. Hey, I'm okay with being average, man. Slightly above average. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna pull the celebrity. I'm not in those circles. But I think that was the main thing that people had a problem with. Now, I will say this too. He did say some things that were totally out of pocket. However, he was saying those things to get clicks and views, which he did. He said stuff to get clicks and views, and he did. You muted. Come off mute, Brandon. Come on, Swift. Ain't heard a thing you said.
You muted.
Which brings me to my second. I apologize. Which brings me to my second question. You got the Shade Room, right? Spiritual Word, TMZ, all these shit. Facebook itself, they get clicks and views off of what people want to see. So, John, you're saying what they're getting clicks off of. He just capitalized off of it. Also, the other guy, who is actually he does a lot of work in the community, but when it comes to social media, he's a totally different person. I cannot think of his name. He is always in social media and always in the news. Real Skinny from here in Texas was a felon and is now doing community work.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
But when it comes to like social media, he cussing people out. He say it's just a character. It's what people want to see, right? So, John, that's what you're saying. Kevin Samuels just put on what get clicks, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
He
put on to get clicks. But let me take it a step deeper. Ain't we all just putting on for the gram? Ain't we all just putting on for social media? You know what I'm saying? You want to put Kevin Samuels and say he out of pocket because he got this large viewership. How did he get this large viewership? Because people like to see that controversy. However, you can put that same controversy on your little feed where 10 people see it and it ain't a problem. You know what I'm saying? But we want to attack Kevin Samuels on this. All right. Let me mute myself.
Rob, what you think? I'm gonna let Jay Ward go last, and I already know where he coming from.
So the first thing that I noticed about the Kevin Samuels character was people were shocked and in awe that a black man had the audacity to speak the way he spoke. That was the first thing I noticed. Because he had, so whenever a black man speaks his mind, you see him get dogpiled because social media as a whole has more women on it than men as a whole. And so the women's voices are louder than the men's voices. And so a man can say something, and if the masses don't agree with it, they just dogpile him. The difference is he was able to cut through the noise because he started getting a lot of women to agree with what he was saying. And so when you start cutting through the noise and getting traction, that's when you start getting more hate because you see someone that looks just like you agreeing with someone that you hate, and it makes this person not only polarizing, but it makes them popular. And so men who have watched his videos in full have always said he was talking about men way before he started talking or saying anything about women. Like he started this whole thing by men calling into his show and him being an image consultant and telling them what they needed to do to improve their lives. And it wasn't gaining any traction. because the world expects and agrees with the negative things that you say about black men. And so if you beat up a black man, everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. That's cool. So it doesn't gain any traction because people agree with it. Because that's what everyone does. Everyone tells black men, you do this bad, you do this bad, you do that bad. You're a dog, you do this, you do that. And everyone agrees with that. Like that's the tone of the black audience on social media. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's the tone that black men are constantly having to fight. It's this stereotype of them being less than because either, they're a felon or they don't have this high paying job or they don't do this, they don't do that. And so I've been on social media for a while, and that's the general tone of social media. And so you have a black man that cuts through that noise and has the audacity not only to buck the system of black men are valuable, black men are high earners, black men aren't bad fathers, black men are great men, black men should be valued, black men should do this, black men should be doing that, then you're always going to get some type of kickback. The thing that he did was he sensationalized it by talking about a black woman in a negative fashion that caught on. That's what happened. And so the crazy thing was the very first video that he got popular, people agreed with what he said. They just hated the way he said it. They just hated the way he said it. They agreed with what he said. They just hated the way he said it. And so for me and the Kevin Samuels thing, and I don't compare him to Trump, but he has some Trump-isms in him where he really cares what he says. He kind of says what's on his mind. I can coexist with people who I disagree with. And so that's how I view all people who I disagree with on certain topics. I can still coexist with them. They don't bother me. I won't hate tweet about them every single day. I won't hate Facebook post about them every single day because I leave people where they are. I disagree with you, and that's cool with me. But he got so popular because people not only disagree with him, they would hate post about him all the time. All the time. This dude was worth, I don't know if people realize this, this dude was worth $4.1 million when he died.
I know that. Okay.
$4.1 million, and it was from YouTube.
Social media, right?
YouTube, Instagram. He had 1.4 million followers on YouTube. The sensationalization of his post made him a millionaire.
So you're saying if Brothers Event 2 starts,
that's what I'm thinking. You've been holding out on those tricks. I need my royalties.
The thing about the social media culture is people can't coexist with someone they disagree with without making them more popular by talking about them over and over and over again. Like you can't bully someone into thinking like you. You can't bully someone into agreeing with you just because you hate post about them over and over again. And for some reason, people think that because you disagree with someone on social media, that they have to think like you. And that's just not how the world works. Hey, it doesn't work like that.
Derrick Jackson over here waiting in the cut. I see it in his eyes, man. I
don't know if Derrick Jackson come back from what he came written down on a note.
And the crazy thing about Derrick Jackson was, like when Derrick Jackson first came out, I thought he was a lame. I thought he was a loser. Whenever a group of people start agreeing with someone, regardless of what side it is, over and over and over again, to me, that should be suspicious. And so if I agree with someone over and over and over and over and over again, to me, that means I'm not listening to exactly what they're saying or their logic is flawed, because you never agree with anyone 100% of the time. That's just not life. It just doesn't happen like that. So with the Derrick Jackson thing, like I said my piece about Derrick Jackson and then I left it alone because what you do is what you do. Everybody's got their hustle. But like people hate posted about Kevin Samuels so much they made him a millionaire. That's like, you can't just shut someone up just because you disagree with them.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work like that. I don't care what they say about you. Like there's just life. And so how I feel about him is entertainment. He found a working formula. He was actually interviewing celebrities, celebrity women, celebrity men. He had Nicki Minaj on his show. Like, and she has a whole army of people. She was either on his show or he was on her show, one or the other. And so he had made it to a status where he was damn near mainstream almost. And that was all because of the sensationalization of his post and him saying people didn't like, because black people don't pay attention to something unless it's negative as a whole.
And with
as
that,
a whole.
And with that, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Especially
that's a terrible thing.
Influencing, like social media really influences our attitudes, perceptions,
yes,
and
terrible
action on a daily basis. So, where do we go from here, Rob?
I don't know how to get us, because you're always going to have your pockets of people like your extremists, just like in any group. Like when you look at white people, they have their QAnons and their MAGAs, and they seem to be the extreme pocket of white people. And so for black people, I don't know if we'll ever get as a whole on the same shit of music, but we give so much energy to negative things, and it's baffling to me. So, like, you see people who say, I want all black men to get rid of podcasts, get off the mic, and go build a house. But you have Earn Your Leisure, who is an outstanding podcast that talks about financial literacy. They highlight young black entrepreneurs, men and women. They give you classes and tips on how to invest in stocks, and no one talks about it. Nope. Like, they are a very extremely positive podcast that actually give great information, but black people don't venture to that because it's not messy, and they're not talking about cheating. They're not talking about gender wars. They're not talking about who's sleeping with who. They're not reposting tweets about someone arguing with someone else. All of their content is positive. I wish we could float as a whole to that type of content, because I think it would help us. But Kevin Samuels saw the formula because he know we as a whole like mess. And so if you make it messy, we black people, we float to it.
Hey, I'm gonna take it a step further. It's supply and demand. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
If the demand is there, people gonna meet that supply.
Yeah.
So you said it earlier, Rob. Social media is predominantly women, right? Who creating this demand? Who creating the predominant demand on social media? Let me myself again.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go. My boy got some points he want to hit on. So go, Nightwing, Jay Ward, whatever you want to call it.
Swift, I have a question for you. Were we on a longer hiatus because you've been in the gym? Was the whole hiatus for you to get swole? That's what I
So we gonna wrap this show up, because I don't know who Jay Ward think he playing with. Okay, we'll bring him back.
That's rude, man.
No, that is not why we were on hiatus. You know why we're on hiatus.
I got you. But you look good, LB. Shout out to the gym.
Appreciate it. Shut up, Kim. I'm not buying smaller shirts. Go ahead, brother. Get your camera right and unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm good. So, like I've said before, I am not like a Kevin Samuels stan, nor Derrick Jackson. I really don't listen to anything that they have to say. But I am against misinformation. And that's what's been bothering me. Like, even headlines from like reputable media outlets were saying in the tagline, misogynistic this guy, or relationship expert controversial. He never branded himself as a relationship expert. That's a lie. And that bothered me. I'm just like, now y'all making up stuff. Like, that's not the truth. He never branded himself as a relationship expert. He said he was an image consultant. So it's just the misinformation that's bothering me. Also, this was solicited information. These were people calling in to get this information, probably for clout, because they knew, like, no matter how bad he does me, my social media presence is going to grow from this. So again, a lot of the stuff that they were doing was for clout. So I'm like, that's, again, that's bothering me. Like Rob said, women pretty much made his platform. Then another thing that I think just bothers me about the whole situation is, like Rob said, he was dogging men out. Like, hey, What's your penis size? How much money do you have in your bank account? Like, he was just as bad on men as he was on women, but that stuff never got reposted. And so I'm like, again, it's a misinformation thing. So, you know, you can feel however you want to feel about it, but just be informed. Do like your own research to see, like, does he have the same energy for men? Absolutely. Like, you never hear people say Family Guy's racist or South Park is racist, because it's equal opportunity. They talk about everybody, handicapped people, black people, fat people, young people, old people. Like, he gives it to everybody. So it was something that he gave to everybody. He had that same energy all the time. Right. So I'm like, you know, you're hating him based off of nuggets that you see instead of going to like listen to a whole interview that he did. And so like that stuff, and then celebrating someone's death, like,
I can't get with it. I'm
like, really? And I thought that the hate that women had was kind of like how they hate Future, but it's like a soft hate. It's not like a real hate. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that you would celebrate the man dying. I didn't think it was that much hate. I thought it was just like, ha, 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 yeah, I hate him. He's stupid. But it's like, no, I'm glad he's dead. And I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, this man was not a criminal. He did no harm, like physical harm to anybody like that. And then it's just like, if you don't like his opinion, stop calling in to get it. As opposed to like gossip columns or like a Wendy Williams, she formulates opinions based off of, you know, the outside looking in. Nobody's calling her, asking her opinion. She's just giving it. Or like people say, don't come for me unless I send for you. Like, these people were calling him to get this information. So I'm just like, and then the hypocrisy bothered me as well. Like, he said that men should pay all the bills. That's something that he said, right? Mm-hmm. You know, but it was like women would repost that, but it was just like, well, why y'all quiet now when he said this? I'm like, because y'all are quiet on all the other stuff that he said. So that kind of just bothered me. And then like Rob said, women are bothered that men are starting to have voices for themselves. Because normally, like, you look at The View, The Talk, all of this is just 5-6 women.
Yeah.
You know, just talking, and it's not the manly thing to do. And I find it insulting that women feel like, and just people feel like, oh man, y'all should get off podcasts and, you know, be doing blah, blah, blah. Like, I know for a fact, John, Rob, T, a lot of these people, like, they do home improvement, these other like manual things. Like, I can wake up and go in the gym and bench 315. Like, just because I'm on a podcast don't mean I'm less physical. It's just that I also have a brain and I have physicality. I can do both. Just because I don't have a manual labor type job, like, you should be proud that, you know, all of our men don't have to break their backs for 15 hours a day to make a living. Like, that's something you should be proud of instead of attacking like, oh, y'all too sensitive and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, bruh, man, I think that's ridiculous to me. So, and then like John was saying, as an entertainer, which that is his job as an entertainer, as a writer myself, and I have plays that are about like the Harlem Renaissance and things like that. And it's like, I can do all these plays about stuff like that. And it's like, the traction is kind of hard to get. But I have another play that's coming out soon that's about a woman never achieving an orgasm. And everybody was like, oh man, this shit gonna be good. That's some good shit. I'm like, you ain't even read it. But just because it's about sex and, you know, something like that, everybody's like, oh man, that shit gonna be good, which it is a good play. But I'm like, my other stuff is good too, but it's a harder thing to sell because we live off of drama and controversy and things like that. I was paying attention to this whole Ray J thing, and like he said, which we all knew, that the whole sex tape thing was plotted. It was planned out. We knew that. And so now they're finally admitting that. And I'm like, bro, you know, sometimes you got to take a small loss, like exposing your sex life, but it netted $1 billion for Kim Kardashian. So I'm pretty sure
for the whole family
again. For the whole family. So I know she would do it again. It's just like, and they both were pretty decent in the film. So it's like, this is a win-win situation. So, you know, but don't be like the definitely shameless plug. Don't be like Nelly and leak your stuff and then people start talking about you. So if you're gonna leak your stuff, make sure it's good. But when you're an entertainer, the same thing with the chick that Drake recently followed. She's a social media
Oh my God.
influencer.
Yes. Yep.
And Drake followed her, so of course she's going to use that for clout. And if
Yep.
I know, like, baby, you got a podcast or whatever it is you do in the entertainment industry, use it. I don't care. I know you're not going to realistically mess with Drake, so do what you got to do. Because when we count this money in our account, then go for it. So overall, I just like I said, I'm not a supporter necessarily of Kevin Samuels, but that's somebody's son that died, and and I'm like, for people to say, well, it's somebody's daughter that he broke their heart with. She called in, and you know how he rolled. So you already know, you knew ahead of time, like, he's going to give you a harsh reality that's going to come off as very brash and possibly insulting, but you called in, you wanted that.
But to take that a step further, he really doesn't share his material or his content. Like, people are not seeing this from his page. People are seeing this from other pages, taking things that are negative or just clips and showing it on their page, like a TMZ or a Shade Room or people personal pages. Go ahead, Rob. I see you
Constantly.
Go ahead.
Constantly sharing it over and over and over again.
So is this the fault of Kevin Samuels for putting this out there, or the fault of those social media pages and influencers posting it, knowing it's gonna get a negative reaction?
They're doing the same thing he's doing.
Everybody has an angle. Everybody has an angle.
You know what I think they mad at? Accountability. They mad at accountability. You know what I'm saying? Some people, and I just threw that out there. You know what I'm saying? I just threw it out there. If the shoe fit, wear it. I didn't say a gender, a person name, or nothing. But a certain demographic of people rarely face accountability.
Okay, let's not. We're not. Okay, so let's go. Right.
But John, I agree with you,
Before I
John.
mute myself, though, let me say this though, man. I'm proud of Jay Wood, man. We didn't. Brothers Been 2 took a long break.
Yeah.
Jay Wood came back a totally different character, man. It like went from dark skin that Bill to light skin that Bill, bro. Hey, everything you said just then was just straight facts.
Hey, but you know what? What I thought about too is that we want our messengers to be perfect. Like, I remember finding out that Dr. King smoked and had affairs, and I was crushed. But he's human. No matter what he did in his personal life, that does not take away from who Dr. King was. And it's just like, everybody's like, oh, he was caught with a woman that's non-black. I don't know, I don't know her race, but she's non-black. And it's like, see, look at you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, he was a single man, so he could do whatever he wants to do. He probably shouldn't have been backdooring the Viagra's with, Red Bull and Coke. But, but what a hell of a way to go. But I just feel like you can get a message from someone that's homeless on the street, and it's a good
Anybody, man. Anybody.
We can't want our heroes to be perfect or flawless. So, I mean, I think that's something, like, everybody that you listen to is flawed as hell, and they have their own shit going on.
And another thing, we shouldn't be getting these messages from social media. That's another topic for another day, though. Which
is why I never really listened to him or Derek Jackson, because I'm like, who are you? And people like, these people are not certified and all that. But this brings me back to something that Rob said a while back. Man, go see real people. Certified people that can counsel you for real. Right. Go to a real therapist that has credentials. Shout out to Cook, that has credentials that's certified and trained to give you advice. If you calling in a social media person or somebody on damn YouTube for advice, then you already down. You go somewhere that your insurance paid for, so that you can go talk to them. And that this
a lot of
person
people
is
do get their therapy from social media posts. It don't even be a. It don't even
crazy, man.
It don't even have to be a video. All you gotta do is have like a little fancy background, put a little Michael B. Jordan or a little, mountain scene with some woods, dense fog, and put a dope quote on there. They gonna eat it up. And they gonna eat it up.
Crazy, man. It baffles me so much how people are so easily influenced by a TikTok or someone. Like, I said it today, man. Like, black people talk about MAGAs all the time, about how MAGAs are so easily influenced by Trump and what he says, and like drinking the Kool-Aid. We do the same thing, man. We do the same thing. it's like you hear like great words with a silver tongue, and you are an instant fan of this person. They can do no wrong, and it's baffling to me, man, because I pride myself on being a person who's constantly growing and learning, and so I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not, and so you have to have a spirit of discernment to be able to take in bunches of information and know what to pick and what to throw away. Like if you don't know, and that's why you can get a great thing or a great word from someone, regardless of how they look, how much money they have, what kind of status they have, what job they have. Everyone has something for you, and I feel like people are brought into your life in real life, in person, for a reason. And you take what you need from that person because it's been sent to you for a reason, and you throw away the rest. But the thing is, people don't know what to throw away and what to keep. And so they it's like people look for idols or people to worship constantly, man. Constantly. It's just.
Before I ask this question though, John, what you drinking on?
Tequila.
Man, you already know it. See if I cut it. I ain't on straight tequila tonight. I mean, still, I got a little margaritas going. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. But I wanted to bring this up tonight, but we out of time. If we seeing grown folks being influenced by a Kevin Samuels or a Derek Jackson or The View or Shade Room or Spiritual Word, imagine what's influencing these little kids.
Bro.
Way worse. Way worse.
They shooting up the Mud Bug Festival and doing all these crimes and wearing sweaters in 100-degree heat. Like they are being influenced by what they are seeing and hearing on social media and in music every day. That's another conversation. Go ahead, Jay Roy, we're gonna wrap it up.
Man, my daughter was listening to Rod Wave, and she was on the way. We were on the way to a volleyball tournament, and I was like, "You can listen to whatever you want to listen to as long as it's not profanity." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, for a kid, I'm like, I'm thankful that you have never known struggle, but you can listen to something like that and feel like you getting it out the mud as well. But I'm like, ain't no mud. No mud. I got it out the mud. Right. You did not get it out the mud. So it's just like that plus the stuff they see on social media. And it's just like all these influences. It's the same way I feel like a lot of people exaggerate broken hearts in these high school and college relationships. It's like it's the stuff that you're surrounding yourself with that makes you feel like, oh, this is bigger than what it is.
And what the parents allowing the prom pictures with the money and the guns, I'm like, prom?
Everybody lost, man. Blind lead the blind.
I blame, and this is a topic for another day, but I blame our generation because we're the people who raising these children.
That's a topic for another day.
And it's trauma from the generation that raised us that is allowing these kids to go through what they're going through. It's like lingering trauma from the people that raised us because we were raised off of survival. And then now we're raising our children not off survival, but it's still remnants of us trying, like we grew up off survival. So it's still remnants of that that's sprinkled into raising these children right here. But they don't understand, like the purpose of, the struggle that you went through allowed you to make it to that next level. They're entitled. So it's like because of the entitlement that they have and the trauma that we went through, it's creating like this perfect little monster, and it's crazy.
And there's nothing wrong with not having to struggle. Like it is
right.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But you see the post, the guns, the money, at the gas station. I got out and I'm looking at these people like, what? But that's a conversation.
Y'all ain't even got roaches, and you talking about getting it out the mud. What?
Hey, and not even the flying ones. The flying ones was scary enough. The flying ones was scary enough, but you for sure in the struggle. If you go to somebody's house, they got little baby roaches. If you got
the small brown ones,
them the food roaches, like they in there in the food.
If you got the baby roaches in the house, it's a struggle right there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It was a good discussion tonight. We're going to start with Rob. Just final points, Mother's Day, and so Kevin Samuels and the impact of social media.
Yeah, so I read this post from the Southern cheerleader who committed suicide. And so I have to tell everyone, if you have kids, nieces, nephews, we are now seeing suicide notes on social media. Like, think about that. Like think about how crazy that is. And so not only do you have these kids who are struggling mentally, emotionally, but that energy is traveling across social media via that note, and other kids are reading that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like think about how crazy that is. Like to be in that mind frame, to be able to type up a paragraph, put it on Instagram, and then take your own life. We have to find a way to talk and understand what our kids are going through from the eyes of them and not from the eyes of us. Because we struggled with a lot of stuff growing up. And so when we see our kids struggling with things, we don't understand it because they're struggling with something different than we struggle with.
Yeah.
And so our struggle doesn't look like their struggle because their struggle is in a 5-bedroom house with 2 brand new vehicles with money in their pocket, money in their account. They have stocks, they have bonds, they have a savings. All the college is paid for, and something is still missing. And so for us, as the ones who were struggling, grew up struggling, who are making sure our kids are struggling, there's still something missing with these kids. And we have to figure out what it is and be more involved intimately with our kids to understand what they're going through, because we may not recognize the struggle because it doesn't look like our struggle, but they're still going through something. We have to figure out what it is. And if that means getting them off of social media for a minute, probably what you need to do, because that energy travels. And you can see how social media affects how people live, how they think, how they feel, and the stuff they do and say. And so with that being said, just cover your children, talk to your nieces, nephews, see what they're going through and what's going on, because the stuff that they're around is something that I didn't know kids or go to school with kids who would go shoot up a festival at the fair. I didn't go to school with anybody like that. I just didn't. And I went to wasn't a decent school. It was a country school. We all had guns, but none of us were going to bring those guns to the fair. Like, it's the country. Edwards, Utica, Bolton, Raymond. Like, we all hunted. We all had rifles. We all knew how to shoot. We weren't taking that to school. And so these kids are dealing with something different. And so I just said we got these kids, figure out what's going on, talk to them, and try to get on their level. Shout out to all the moms again. Happy Mother's Day. Rest in peace, Mom, Grandma, and Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
And Jay, before I let you, before you go, Rob, that really hits home for me because I work at an HBCU. I talk to these kids every day. Talking about kids that are homeless, kids that don't know where their next meal is coming from. They are struggling and they don't know what to do next. So please talk to your kids if they are in college, especially the HBCU, because they're going through a lot. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and if you went to school in Raymond, Utica, or Bolton, you really got it out the mud.
For real.
Shout out to all the peeps in Raymond, Bolton, Utica. I agree with everything that Rob said, and then I do believe in, and I've said it before, like soulless ties, and then just emotional and spiritual connections to music and entertainment and social media and things like that. So you just got to monitor it. And I'm just like, I've observed in my own children, I'm like, just days when they are not happy. And I'm just like, you have nothing to not be happy about. Like, you don't want for anything, but it's not about that. So you don't shame your kids for something that they are depressed about or sad about. Try to understand it from their perspective. Like, it could be anything that's causing that. And you just got to be realistic with your children and people about certain stuff. As far as like the mothers, man, if you have a mother or any older relative in your life that is alive, man, go celebrate that person and make their day. Because you just never know when that person won't be there. And, I was blessed enough to have my grandmother. She lived till she was 94 years old. And every time I could go, be in her presence and just absorb that knowledge, I would. And next time we're on, maybe we can do it for Father's Day. But I just want to ask y'all, who's the oldest man in your life? Who's the oldest black man you know? Because I can't think of any black men I know that are over 72, which is my uncle. So I'm like 72 is still kind of relatively young. Like I don't know any black men that are over 80. So it's just like, you know,
Scary.
when you, like, you know, it's just like crazy when you put that in perspective. So just be realistic about that and, you know, take a chance and go out and do something like memorable with your mom and go enjoy that information. And as far as like the situation with Kevin Samuel, you know, may he rest in peace, may his soul find peace. And I would say that about anybody, whether it was a social media influencer or not. And like I said, I really didn't agree with everything that he said, but I'm like, I look at things that are, you know, a different way. Like, I don't think that men that wear suits have more value than men who wear t-shirts, because like you could be a pile of shit in that suit. And I think men who wear like suits and ties a lot of times look down on young men who choose to sag or wear jogging pants and stuff like that, which that's another topic. But, you know, like it's kind of to me a bit out of line to celebrate someone's death, especially because you didn't agree with his opinion, but he wasn't like a menace to the community, like selling dope and killing people and things like that. So, you know, he was just speaking his mind on people who called into his show. So make sure that, you know, you're doing that. And quick shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning the draft. And it's up. And we're going to...
All right.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right, these points coming off the top of the head. My first thought was influence. When we talked about the kids and social media and all that kind of stuff, you can't feel influence, but it's there. You know what I'm saying? Like the Earth's gravity has influence on keeping us to Earth, but you don't be walking around thinking, "Dang, I'm held down by gravity right now." The influence is always pulling you in a direction, but you can't feel the pull. You know what I'm saying? So when you got these kids, or even grown people, not so much our age, but they sometimes our age, if all the information that you being fed is through social media, is going through these filters, and you being influenced by a machine with an agenda. So I would say to be intentional about trying to identify things that are influencing you in your life. All right. Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all. Happy extra special happy Mother's Day to my baby mother. And yeah, as much as I say happy Mother's Day, I don't really like celebrating holidays too much, but I do want everybody to take this away, to be intentional about showing people that you love them, being just like I told the story about my grandmother and the pineapples, and that's the way that she showed love to me when I was a young kid, and I remember it throughout my life. Just take time to be intentional about showing people that you love them. Take time to be intentional about how you spend your life and enjoy the ride, because life is fleeting. It's gonna be over soon.
Yeah.
And enjoy your mother if she's still here. Enjoy those mother figures that you have in your life, and take this time to celebrate them, show them some love.
Absolutely.
Don't make nobody a mother this weekend if you don't plan on being there for that child. Like, don't knock
Hey,
nobody.
So
And,
I
can y'all
always
tag-
say, if you think you got 5 left, at 3, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Hey, don't be like, hey, don't say 2. Don't say I got one more. Hey, if you
don't get out of there.
If you say you got
that
one more,
long
you
one and your
lost.
thighs shaking, it's time to get out of there.
Hey, if you
Hey,
get
also,
if
y'all
your
tag
mind
the-
say one more, it's already over with.
Tag the page with Mother's Day ideas for good gifts, you know, for the last minute bros.
Yeah. And I'm gonna wrap this up by saying once again, happy Mother's Day to my mother, Sherry. I love you. I miss you. I'll be seeing you soon. To my grandma, to Lou, if you on here, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are watching. Happy pre-Mother's Day to all the mamas that's pregnant, don't know it yet. I mean, you gotta hey, they don't know. You gotta wish them. So hopefully y'all have a good couple of months when y'all find out y'all pregnant. In terms of the Kevin Samuel situation, once again, I'm not gonna wish death on. No, I'm not gonna celebrate anyone's death. I can't do that. This is not in my soul, not in my spirit. You can't. That's like death is final, and when they're gone, and that's not something I want for myself. That's not energy I'm putting in the atmosphere, and I hope. I mean, regardless of what he said, if you agree to disagree, just go on about your day, go on about your life. And we got to really talk about and have a conversation about how social media is influencing our younger ones, because it's influencing them to do things that they should not be doing in this generation at all. We'll talk about that next time. Also, in lieu of what's going on with the Roe versus Wade and the social media post and how it's influencing our kids, politics, education, all that. Shameless plug, like my boy Jay Ward, I am going to start my podcast, Swift Minute, and videos will be going up soon. And I do plan on discussing the impact of Roe versus Wade being overturned, because I'm seeing a lot of misinformation being put out there. So I want to kind of address some of it. So
Are you going to address your coworker, the women's basketball coach? That's your coworker, right?
No, she don't work at TSU.
Did she work at TSU?
She used to.
Oh, okay. And how she told the woman, the girl, she
So
hey man, we need you at Jackson State. We got to get you home. We can't have you working for the enemy.
Our coaches and our adult figures, when we were growing up, were saying things that some of these coaches are saying today, but they cannot get away with saying these things. It's a new generation. It's a
Kids ain't the same, man. And social media is around. It ain't the same.
And these policies that these schools and the government and everyone has implemented, you cannot get away with saying, oh, she just needs some ride some D or something. You can't say that to these kids now.
Can't say that.
You can't say that. So be very careful. If you are saying that to these kids, please stop. And if you are a victim, go report it and get it taken care of and do what you got to do. That's all I'm gonna say about that situation. That's all I'm gonna say. But if anyone has any questions, anything you want us to talk about, once again, please write the page. We are open to all suggestions and recommendations, except for anything Jay Ward want to talk about, because I ain't got time for gender wars every week. But other than that,
Jay Ward get good today. Jay Ward get good today, man.
He did. I give Jay Ward a applause.
Proud of Jay Ward.
I really want to talk about Moon Knight and how black people think Egypt ain't in the Middle East.
Moon Knight, so good. Oh man.
Egypt is in the Middle East.
Technically, it's in Africa.
But it's in the Middle East and Africa. But like, that's why it's brown people there and not like dark black people, because it's in the Middle East. But that's a geography lesson that people ain't ready for. But
that was so good.
Woo. Moon Knight is great.
We may be on this. We got no more boy Rob. I ain't got too many more episodes left. So
yeah, man. Time getting short.
Get that knowledge in while we can. But once again, I appreciate y'all coming on. We're going to try to promote it more and keep this train rolling.
Look how peaceful we are without E in his tribe.
Right. But we will see y'all again soon. Please be on the lookout. Follow the page if you haven't, and we'll talk to y'all later.
May the Sith be with you.
Like,
Sith.
comment, subscribe,
May 6th.
share the video.